What's up, guys? Quick video today. Just a couple quick topics that I wanted to cover. The first one is, let's talk about sports. I know it's an odd topic to cover, but do you guys have a team? Is there a team that you supported growing up? Maybe you're from a city that has a soccer team or a football team or a baseball team. Maybe your family's into that team, so it's kind of like a family thing or a regional thing. Everybody in your city or state, likes this in particular team. Maybe it's even at a lower level. You got your high school team or high school volleyball team or whatever it is. If you've ever played sports or ever been a fan of sports, you should understand this concept. So what happens when your team has a bad game? What do you say? Usually you say something like, we played like shit. We made a bunch of poor decisions. We dropped the ball a few times. Next week, we really need to play a lot better than this because the goal of the game is to win, and I expect my team to come out of the gates and play to their full potential. Now, when they take that loss, do you abandon your team? Is it that you don't want your team to win anymore? Of course not. You're critical because you care. You actually want them to play better. You know that they're not living up to their potential, and you know that if they did play to their potential, that they'd be winning those games. If you ever played sports at a higher level, what happens when you have a bad game and you get to the locker room? What does the coach say to you? Does he say, good game, guys, it was a good effort? I'm not gonna say anything negative. No, in my experience, he tears your ass apart. Everyone has a role to play and they need to play that role. And if people are missing their assignments and not playing up to their potential, your coach is gonna lay into you. Does your coach not want you to win anymore? When your coach is frustrated with you because you didn't play to your potential, do you go cry and say, I wish he would only say nice things to me? No, it motivates you. It gets you pumped up. You get frustrated. You start to get in your head. You practice harder, and then you make it happen the next game. You go home and think about the mistakes that you made and go, I'm not going to make that mistake again next time. So that is very common, and if you ask any one of the greats, anyone, criticism helps drive them to future success. Every single one. Both Kobe and Michael Jordan used to make up fake scenarios in their head to get mad at another player so they could ball out on him. It happened all the time. They even went as far as to imagine that somebody said something to get them all riled up so they could put up 40 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists. The elite people, the truly elite people, they use that criticism to pour gasoline on the fire. And they realize that some of those criticisms in that moment were valid. He lost the game because he missed so many shots. The quarterback was off the mark. The receiver continued to drop the ball. Whoever you are, you realize that you make mistakes. And the only way to resolve those is realize, like, I made mistakes. I need to play better. And next week, I'm going to come out. I'm going to make it happen. Winners take accountability for their mistakes. They carry the team when necessary. And then when they get their next opportunity, they knock it out of the park. So a lot of people over the last couple of days are like, oh no, Scott's being critical. He should only say nice things about each project. Nope, I think being critical is part of critical thinking and part of being an adult. I also think that this new wave of millennial participation trophy crap has bled into other areas of society, and we think no matter what, we gotta tell these adult men, everything's okay, you made a good effort. Nope, not in my house. When people make mistakes, we bring it to their attention, and we do that because we care. We want them to live up to their potential. We want them to succeed. I'm hard on my son because I love him and I know that he's got a top tier potential. I'm hard on my friends because I love them and I know they have top tier potential. And I'm definitely hardest on myself, but I'm sure most of you guys are in the same boat. So when you guys say, don't ever be critical of anything at any time, it's only got to be positive, that is absolute nonsense. It's okay to critically think. Constructive criticism is a good thing. That type of feedback is really necessary for people to change and move forward, because you can't keep making the same mistake over and over again and then execute the same behavior and feel like you're not going to make the same mistake. You have to make changes. There's a popular phrase, it's if nothing changes, nothing changes. So that's it. Again, constructive criticism, not just a bunch of FUD, people pouring information out there, trying to get everybody pissed off. But if there's constructive information, like this is how I would do it differently, we gotta be better at X, Y, Z, something to that effect. Being negative to be negative is just a complete waste of time, but it's okay to actually critically think and be critical in certain environments. So hopefully you guys understand the lesson that I'm trying to teach you today in that regard, but we did get a cool update from Forex that I'm pretty pumped about. So let's see where it's at. And I would say that this is, maybe where my man Forex lost the last game, went into the locker room, talked to the team, and then got everybody pumped up. And now it's time for us to come out and crush it this next Tuesday. So he says, from Forex, our official audit is going great, which is awesome. We will not need to make any major changes, which means November 1st is the day. I have a meeting in a couple hours to get our marketing back on track for tomorrow, now that we are confident in the new date. So 2 things. If they're confident in the November 1st date, that's exciting. Next Tuesday we'll launch, that's a week away. I think if we can really hold this date, then we can bounce back. I think we'll be a month behind or so, because I think a lot of capital probably came in from the original marketing, waited for the launch date, and then bailed. And it's going to take it running for a month for people to go, okay, it was just delayed. He really did get it together. Because let's be honest, with the way it didn't launch and the news coming out and kind of blaming certain individuals on the team or whatever for certain delays, it wasn't a good look, right? It wasn't a good look. Let's just be honest. So it's going to take just a little bit longer to bring those people back into the fold. They're going to see that everyone's over here making money on the animal farm. They're going to go, okay, they made a mistake. They came back the next week and they got the win. Again, this is what winners do. But we got to make sure we hit this November 1st date, because if we call out another date and then miss it again, the credibility is just going to slide downhill, which is not what we want. In regard to the meeting he's got in a couple hours to get back on track with marketing. Honestly, if we market, a couple days before the date and it really does get open, then that's not a big deal. Then it's great. If we miss the date, then it's an absolutely horrible idea. So for me, if I was doing it, and this is just how I do it, right? Everyone is different. I would create a very specific marketing plan with the idea to launch that on November 1st. I would have everything dialed in. Prior to that, I would probably send email blasts out, maybe the day before if I felt really confident. I know they gathered probably at least 10,000 valid emails from the contest. I don't know who won the $5,000 contest, by the way. I don't know if they already sent that out or if they're delaying it until the animal farm actually gets launched. But I would get my ads queued up. I'd make sure that, my YouTube ads and all that stuff, I'd make sure that those were queued up, and I'd make sure that they're approved so they're ready to go. And then I would turn them on the second animal farm actually launches and it's running. So I would take this time to actually get my marketing plan really dialed in so I could flip the switch on the marketing. Everything would start going out and we'd start gathering some data. Again, like I've said in the past, marketing isn't completely just flip the switch on and all of a sudden it's running full speed. You have to scale everything up to see what's working. You're constantly making adjustments. So it's more complicated than people think. There's a lot of levers that you're constantly pulling back there. You're adjusting this, adding more budget to that, pulling budget from that, killing certain ads. It's kind of a complex process, and most people don't understand that. So you got to give the marketing team the benefit of the doubt. I do know people are like, oh, they weren't running ads. I do know that they actually were running one ad with a low budget, and frankly, that ended up, being a blessing. If they would have ramped up that budget, that would have been more of a train wreck from a budgetary standpoint. So hopefully they can turn that back on, switch up the dates and make this look cleaner. So anyway, I'd get my marketing plan in place, but I wouldn't actually probably launch anything until as soon as the animal farm actually goes live. But this is good news. And again, it's okay to be critical. We are generally the most critical on the things we most care about. Like I said, if you guys, there's a really good chance, if you're like me, you are more critical on yourself than anyone. And it's certainly not because you hate yourself. It's because you realize your potential, and when you don't live up to it, it frustrates you. So that's it. Hopefully you guys understand the lesson and realize that we all want this thing to be just insanely successful. So here we are, 1 week out. Happy investing.